showing you the blog that I have finished, the bubonic plague blog for June. I'm also going to talk a little bit more on where I stand with Black as a whole, talk about my messages, and I'm going to talk about my understanding of where I am and what my expectation is. Yesterday, I was going to go live, but I didn't go live. The plan is to go live very often, and also the plan is to talk as much as I can on what exactly am I expecting and what exactly am I thinking about what's going on right now. So let me start out with the story part so that it's off my chest, and then I'm going to talk about the reveal to you guys the bubonic completed, and I'm going to show you the artwork. I haven't shown you the artwork yet, so I'm also going to show you the artwork. And yeah, I'm going to start the bubonic plague block, second block for June, so I can quickly just do these two blocks, get them done, and just assemble them in May's, just add them and assemble in May's bubonic plague blocks. I've said a lot now, but I hope you guys hear me in what I have just said. So the first thing I want to talk about is the sacrifice. If we can turn our Bibles to Revelations. So I'm going to look for the horses. The church is known to go through different phases in its own history, and these phases are shown by the different horses. So you find that there is a red horse, there's a pale horse, there's a black horse, there is a white horse, and there are different types of. They are actually an understanding into the different colors and what they actually mean. So I'm going to start off and talk about that right now. I'm still looking for the horses. It's going to take quite some time as I didn't look for these horses and actually write them down. Hi, Emma. Hello, Lillian. Hey, guys. Welcome to my live. They're probably here at the front, like in Revelation 6. And see the seals. Um, and see the churches. Okay, Emma. Nice to meet you. Lillian, I am just going over a few things. I'm going to be talking about what I spoke about in my Facebook account. So I spoke about the sacrifice. I said that white people generally need to put me in prayer as a sacrifice rather than what happens in real life, like literally when we meet. So I'm just explaining that so that um, like things are they get back to normal, at least from the spiritual point of view, as I find that it affects us when demons come and they take control because they can see that they're the ones who are doing everything without people taking a step forward and maybe controlling that type of environment so that it's livable for us as human beings too. So that is the type of thing that I am going through right now, and I'm looking for the horses so that I can talk about the horses. Nice to meet you too, Emma. The seals. Excuse me. I'm still looking for it. I hope you get better, Emma, from the depression and anxiety that you have. I don't know if I'm actually like looking for it properly. So I'm like just browsing through the Bible, the entire Revelations to try and find what I am looking for, and doesn't seem like I'm doing such a great job. So the bad thing about it is that I just thought about the horses right now, and I thought of like, nice to meet you. Hopefully, get better, Emma. Okay, it just, wait. I think I found. Oh, there we are. Um, mm, I don't know where it starts, right? Hi, Corey. Hello, everyone who's just coming. I don't know where it starts, but I'm going to read. So I can see here in chapter 19 of Revelations is talking about the white horse. It's talking about the white horse. I was gonna talk about all of these horses from the different time periods. Okay, it seems to be something that is ongoing throughout. I just don't know where I can start. So, okay, anyway, I'm just gonna read from Revelations 19 and start through 1. It's a chapter that has 21 verses, so I'm gonna read from 1 to 21. So it reads, "And after these things I heard a great voice of much people in heaven, saying, Alleluia, salvation, and glory, and honor, and power unto the Lord our God. For true and righteous are his judgments. For he hath judged the great whore, which did corrupt the earth with her fornication, and hath avenged the blood of his saints at her hand. And again they said, Alleluia, and her smoke rose up forever and ever. And the 24 elders and the 4 beasts fell down and worshipped God that sat on the throne, saying, Amen, Alleluia. And a voice came out of the throne, saying, Praise our God, all ye his servants, and ye that fear him, both small and great. And I heard as it were the voice of a great multitude, and as a voice of many waters, and as a voice of mighty thunderings, saying, Alleluia, for the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. Let us be glad and rejoice and give honor to him, for the marriage of the Lamb is come, and his wife hath made herself ready. And to her was granted that she should be arrayed in fine linen, clean and white, for the fine linen is the righteousness of saints. And he hath unto me right, and he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of Almighty God. And he hath on his vesture and on his thigh a name written, King of kings and Lord of lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of the heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and of them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men, both free and bond, both small and great. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the remnant was slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse, which sword proceeded out of his mouth, and all the fowls were filled with their flesh. So, um, this is a white horse. I wanted to talk a little bit more on the three horses. It is not the three horses. It is um, the horses themselves. But I have to find the other ones also. I'll be doing a whole study on the horses and just share a little bit on that later. So for now, I want to talk a little bit more on the horse. The first thing that I wanted to write down, which I have spoken about, is that the horse that we are going to be riding on is the black horse and not the white horse. And I want to I just want to write down what I have spoken about and also take notes on what I share about so that I'm just looking for my pencil case. I found it. So um, I want to just jot down everything that I've spoken about as I have spoken about it already. Okay, so I think the most important thing with this is that I need to put together a study on the horses and share that because I haven't done that yet, and yet I've been speaking so much about them. The first thing I want to talk about is that in these horses, the horse we are focusing on is the black horse. So I'm just gonna jot down everything that I'm going to be doing so that I put a lot more meat into all of these things I keep talking about so that they are much more clear into the understanding of them as studies. So the first study I think that I should work on, that I'm gonna work on, is the study on the black horse. Um, I'm also going to be looking into verses on it. What I have shared so far, and this is what I wanted to talk about, is what I have shared so far. The first thing I have shared so far is that we are on the black horse. The black horse is is a horse that is representing death. So it represents death, it represents destruction, and it is death, destruction. Um, there's something else that I also wanted to talk about. It is the humiliation. I've spoken about humility comes before honor. So I have started a study on the two kingdoms, and these two kingdoms, I did a study from I think it was 2016. And then I started to see a study on it from James White. And he does it very nicely. The two kingdoms being the kingdom of grace and the kingdom of glory. So these are the kingdoms I'm going to be talking about again. These are the two kingdoms I'm going to be talking about, as I want to also establish the study on the king. I also want to establish the study on honorable humility. To establish So I want to establish that thought, honorable humility, as the kingdom of grace comes with humility and the kingdom of glory comes with honor. So that is another thing I'm going to be talking about. And there's something else that I'm also going to be talking about. And I'm going to be thinking about the humiliation in marriage. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about is I think it isn't the black horse, but I think I just want to emphasize it as its own point. It is sacrifice and prayer to be normal in person. The last thing I want to talk about is um, independence in mindset, the freedom to decide what to do, and who and where and how. So I want to talk about independence. So these are the 5 things that I'm going to be talking about, and I think it needs studies where I emphasize these points and establish them as studies of their own. The first one, it is black horse, and the black horse I'll be talking about death and destruction. The second point is kingdoms, which is the kingdom of grace and the kingdom of glory, to establish honorable humility. The third point is humiliation in marriage. And the fourth point is sacrifice and prayer to be normal in person. The fifth point is independence. So this is the introduction to these points, and it is um, about 6 minutes left till I think halfway, 30 minutes. My lives usually go for about an hour, and I have quite a number of things I want to share today, and maybe in the coming days I build up on that. I'm going to be going live for this whole week. After that, I'll be done going live for June. I'm going to be going live again at the end of June when I get bundles again. So I think these lives are going to stay, and they're going to serve as content for June. They are here at the end of May, but I think they are good for reference. If you guys can go over these lives over and over again while I'm not around, then it's going to help a little bit more in understanding these things a little bit better. The First thing I want to talk about is the black horse. I'm going to be going through the different horses in a study of its own, but now I want to emphasize on the black horse. I spoke a little bit more on this on my account. Just to lay a foundation, I am a prophetess and I understand myself to be Queen of Fairmont for America. My studies that seal that work is the study on actually was a study on Islam. So me going through the activities of Islam over time, and I started to understand Islam a little bit better as prophetic truth that is biblical. And I started to share more on it. I did a study on it. And this study led me to understand that the Taliban insurgency is going to take place in 2021. There's going to be civil unrest in Oregon and Maritzburg or Zimbabwe, and based on a prediction, a probability that these places will have studies, the the civil unrest ended up in Maritzburg, and that was the civil unrest that blew up as looting in Maritzburg. The third um, the third prophetic truth in that article that I wrote, this is one article, was that Christ coming back. And the second coming of Christ in that article was the event where I said it is first, second coming. His first, second coming meant that it is the pontiff of the Catholic Church doing an activity that is going to lead to a national Sunday law in America. And I knew it to be a national Sunday law, but it's activities that bring about these changes and policies in the laws in America to accommodate for the Catholic Church and pontiffs to start eating at a specific time. So from that point, the first understanding was that it's a Sunday law that is coming, and activities to the Sunday law. And as soon as God worked in to bring these studies together, as insects, destruction, death, laws, and everything, it soon became an understanding to me that wait, hang on, it is a cleanup of our own bodies as God is working to cleanse our bodily temples for His service and to use our temples for to mark us in one way or another for the specific work that we do, whatever it is. So these are the type of things that I think I'm going to be talking about a little bit more. The black horse now stands for death, and this is death that comes in all sorts of different ways. But I think this is the death of a specific church. 2021 to 2024 I understand to be midnight for the priests, and the priests in this was Jeff's movement because they had a message for that specific time. Um, they didn't accept my messages. I was in the movement. They kicked me out of the movement in 2020 around May before July 18th. We had a prediction that in July 18th, Nashville is going to get nuked. And before July 18th, I had a disagreement with one of the brothers. It had to do with an intimate interest, and he wasn't of that interest. There was misunderstandings along the way, and because of that, I was kicked out. But that was not necessarily a reason, and I don't think it was a reason behind it completely. There were more other issues that were in line, but I don't want to put excuses and say that the brother kicked me out because now he felt because he's a white man and I'm a black woman, that's how he felt things should go, that I'm dirty. How can I think of such a thing? But I think there's more to it than that. Anyway, when I look into it, I can see the destruction that fell on me as a person who seemed at that point as if I was unrighteous, I was dirty, I should be kicked out. And before July 18th, as the brethren believed that if July 18th hits, Nashville is nuked. Anyone who has been kicked out and is outside of that prophetic narrative is going to be lost and not go to heaven. So at that point, when that brother kicked me out and I was kicked out of the movement, I was technically marked as a lost person. So anyway, that is destruction, and it was spiritual death. July 18th didn't take place, and as soon as July 18th became a failed prophecy, I ended up with my own messages. And my messages came about 4 days after the last day that was predicted, according to Odelio, Theodore, and Stevens' chariot reckoning of time. So I think it is the chariot reckoning, the rabbinical reckoning, and there was another one. Um, it's a biblical reckoning of time. Um, as there were three of them, the probability was that if it's not July 18th, then it should have been the 27th, and if it's not the 27th, it should have been the 31st. So I waited. July 18th, I was already kicked out, and July 18th, Nashua was nuked. So the next reckoning of time would have hit the 27th of July, and 27th of July, Nashua was nuked, and the next reckoning of time hit the 31st of July, and nothing happened. All three of these events passed by, and Palmoni seemed to be a failed prophecy. So, with that, 4 days after the last reckoning of time, I had my messages, and my messages within the Taliban insurgency, the coming of Christ, and the civil unrest. The coming of Christ as the last prophetic, the last prophecy that I predicted, happened when Israel and Gaza went to war. Israel and Gaza went to war, and when that happened, the Pontiff Francis went and sat in the Holy Nation. Hamas went into Israel and they nuked Jerusalem. I want to say nuked because they completely destroyed Jerusalem, the temple, the literal temple. And right when they completely destroyed the literal temple, I came back to my senses in my private space and started to think about something that I already knew, and this is the destruction of Jerusalem. So, this black horse also has something to do with that. The destruction of Jerusalem, the destructions during these times, as the Taliban insurgency was a destruction in Afghanistan. Um, the coming of Christ came through in a period of destruction. Israel and Gaza going to war is a type of destruction. Gaza was destroyed, and so was Israel in that war. The civil unrest is a destruction. Peter Maritzburg was destroyed in that destruction, as those shops were completely wiped out by the people that were actually um, contesting political leaders. They were saying that they want more food, they need food, they're poor, they need money, they need jobs. They were contesting political leaders, and so in a way, it was almost a civil war. So that was a destruction. I'm going to talk a little bit more on that. Then it is the kingdoms. The kingdoms is the kingdom of grace and the kingdom of glory. Um, I want to talk a little bit more on the kingdom of grace and the kingdom of glory, and talk about what it is. So, the kingdom of grace is the kingdom that was established by Christ when he came to die on the cross. And the kingdom of glory is the kingdom that he's going to be bringing on earth when he comes again. So I'm going to establish that, and it's an honorable humility, as I want to join these together and say that Christ's first second coming happened in during the Israel-Gaza war when that pontiff Francis sat in Israel. That was Christ's first second coming. So that marked an event that shows that the Church of God from that event entered into the kingdom of glory. But because of the destruction of Jerusalem, they are still going through the kingdom of grace. So you can find that they are going through this humiliation while they're being glorified. So it seems in glory they're humiliated, and that's the type of um, that's the type of, I think, environment, if I can call it an environment, that I want to bring forward as these kingdoms are merged together from the Israel-Gaza war, which is a historical event. It is historical, I think, from a spiritual point of view. It's very historical because how can you glorify humility? When Christ came back on earth, he died on the cross. But when he died on the cross, only specific areas are mentioned in the Bible, the areas that had to do with him. So it could have been all these other heathen nations didn't know anything about what was going on. Only the people who were involved with what was where he was knew about what was going on. And at that point is where the Bible is, it narrates what happened. But not to have to glorify humility, it seems like something that is going to be larger than, and yet it is an act, it's a work and an act and a life of humiliation. It just, whoa. So that's the type of the kingdoms. That's the type of study I'm going to be bringing forward with the merging of these kingdoms. Then I'm going to talk about humiliation in marriage, and I think I want to talk a little bit more on that. The humiliation in marriage. When interracial marriages are being brought to view, I look into Moses and Zipporah. I look into Semiramis and Nimrod, and there was nothing wrong with those marriages. Um, but you look now in the context of what is going on, and let me paint a picture real quick. So as you can see that I am a black girl. So as I'm a black girl and I'm carrying these prophetic messages, these prophetic messages are messages of destruction for this time. I understand myself to be Queen of Fairmont for America, and I understand myself to be a prophetess. So with this work, I don't have a problem getting married to, let's say, I don't have a problem getting married to a person outside my race. But now comes a humiliation of recognizing that at a specific time, specific people are being destroyed. When I look into the destruction that's going on right now, we are riding on a black horse, and this black horse seems to be signifying in one way or another. It could be me being a black woman, my messages coming from a black woman, and so on. And so this black on itself could be signifying also, and it looks literal because I am a black woman. I am a black woman who's carrying messages of destruction for this time. So now comes this understanding, and this understanding is very, very work in progress. I'm still working on it, but I'm going to share it anyway. um when I am looking into what is going on right now, the children of God are going to be conquering and conquering and conquering until till he comes again, and that is the white horse, because they're conquering using the word of God, moving with him in cleanliness. We, and I say we because I'm also part of this with my messages of destruction, are in the black horse, and we never leave that black horse till Christ comes back. If any of us are saved, we're going to go to heaven. We're going to go to heaven coming straight from that black horse. We're not going to be going to that white horse ever. So, being in this black horse where we are, um, white people who are here with me are going through a a type of destruction. This destruction is coming from the destructions of white people losing their money in this time. There is lines upon line of things that is going on right now. When we read, for example, merging prophecies together, when you read um, Revelations chapter 11, verse 42. So I'm just going to show you where we are when you are with me in this time period, of course. So in Revelations chapter 11, I'm going to start from 1 to 4. It says, "And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 40 and 2 months. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." So when you read this text, we are we are the threaders. We're not the sackcloth. So I want to just paint the picture that even if I'm a prophetess, there are prophets and prophetesses God's called for for His children who are running in this time period. When you look at this verse, we are in 42, and we are the threaders. We thread. We're not the sackcloth, but we know about what's going on. You get it? Then God's gonna call people to measure. We are measuring this side, they're measuring that side too. And we are moving this side, they're moving that side too. So as we're running in this black horse, they're running on the white horse, but who are we in this context? We're running, we understand what's going on, but our work's a little bit different to their work. So they have people measuring that side, we have people measuring our side. We are threaders, they probably are threading sin and sinfulness, I don't know, but they're probably threading too. But we, in this context, are the threaders. And then it says, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." So they are in sackcloth, they are prophesying, and their witnesses is a Bible. We are not, but we are prophesying too. And our prophecies are truth also. So do you get it? I hope you do get it. So another thing that I want to share, I could share many studies. For example, Revelations chapter 10 will say something like, um, "And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. When the 7 thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven say unto me, Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not." And so, what I want to point out is the part that says, "Eat the little book. Son of man, eat the little book." So that's what I am looking for now. It wasn't it is Revelations 10. I don't know now. This is talking about the seven thunders. So I have to brush up on my verses. But yeah, I hope you guys get it. We are eating too. So I am eating too, but who do I represent? I'm a message of the hour insect. Um I have the truth also. They have the truth also that side. We are running, they're running too. Um, but the difference is that they're running with the prophetic messages that God's called them to run with to do a different work. So that's what I wanted to talk about, so that we don't get mixed up into believing anything that okay, so it's Revelations chapter 10 verse 8 to 10. It says, "And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel, which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And I went unto the angel, and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand, and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter." So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit. I wanted to paint a picture where are we in this work. Every day when white people wake up, and I'm gonna say white people because where we are now, given the black horse, the destruction, the death, and everything, this is not a white story. The white story is in the white horse. In the white horse, white people are happy, they are more free, have more power, they have a lot of things. Here in this situation, it is a black story. So black people are more prominent, they have more power, they have independence to do pretty much everything. And if you can read the work itself, in the time of destruction, at the close of probation, there comes a time when there's no money, but no money in this sense will go to the white horse and not to the black horse. And that is another thing I wanted to talk about. As the black horse continues running with death and destruction, there's always money here. But that side, they go through a phase where there's no money, and someone shouts out from that side saying no money, even from them accepting work from God. They enter into this phase where they prepare to live in a time where they have no money, they cannot work, they don't get employed, and they don't collaborate with people this side, especially who are just doing a work that is tending towards destruction and death and these things that they have crucified that side. So what I was saying was that when white people are going through a destruction, it could be white people that side, it could be white people this side, but I'm just saying white people generally. They need to understand my messages, not to the level of understand and believing them, of course, but they need to recognize them, which means there needs to be a level of following up, to follow up, to see that I have spoken about barren demonology, and they go and they crucify barren demonology, so that barren demonology does not destroy them, as they can see that white people are being destroyed with the white horse being destroyed in this time period. So that is the type of work I was talking about. I was saying that um, they can see my messages are messages of destruction, and this destruction is going through to especially children of God, Bible believers, white people, white situations. And I was just saying that specifically white people by skin color. The reason why it is white people by skin color is because of that component of racism and apartheid and slavery and all of these things over time. So I don't know how it like adds up, but it seems to work very well when it's not white people by religion, because black people still have their hold on Pan by just them being black. The sin of Canaan is not something you can remove just by being a religious person. We still have that hold in us of the sin of Canaan, even if we go into church, we go and we become believers. There's still that hold on us. So these demons that come to us as black people, wherever we are, even after we've been converted, they never leave us. So these are the type of things that I was talking about and saying that white people generally, as a system now in America, I think as they set the bar to say that people of color can even be Indian people, colored people, and so on. And so a white person in especially America is very narrowed down to Caucasic, and has no um, black black blood in them. So those are the type of white people I'm talking about. They take my work, they crucify me. Every single thing I come up with in my work, they take it and they crucify that. And what I was saying on my account is that they do it in prayer so that in person, when we meet, we don't have wars and wars. And imagine I'm a one person, of course, but it is going to help to bring down and just decrease this work that's going on where the demons want to control us as people, because we cannot run with demons. That's the thing, I think. So in prayer, I don't know if there's a system that is behind the scenes also that governments use to do these things, but I think it goes even beyond just prayer. It goes to actively doing it so that in person we meet and everything is just fine. This then means that um, my interest, I've had an interest of getting married to a white man when I was younger and now recently, but this interest in itself now is becoming a sacrifice. It's sacrificial, which is, it makes it disgusting and humiliating um, because of the work behind it. The the circumstance that I am in right now is not a normal one. So the first thing that is important is to separate black people, other black people, from me as an individual by my own work. Um, they have work of their own, and as I say, this is a black affair. Um, this black affair in itself means that black people on their own, they do well. They don't have any problem here. Um, and now white people are the ones, obviously, I've stated that. So it's more sacrificial, which makes it more gruesome and disgusting than it would have been if it was just a sweet story of me falling in love with someone and us now, you know. So the nature of me being in a marriage with a white man will be of a secretive, hidden nature because of this circumstance. Um, I don't know if maybe I see things a little bit differently, because in person, if my husband is, he sacrifices me well enough, I think in the sense that now governments are going to be depending on him and the work he's doing to lay me on the altar. Because now I've been thinking about it and saying at some point, sex itself could be a sacrifice. But I mean, for some people, in fact, in most normal circumstances, it is not a sacrifice. It is just a love, a show of love. But it's like for me, it's almost like gonna be sacrificial in a way, um, because of the extent of how now it's gonna be, and it scares me a little bit. It makes me think. I know if I get married to a person of a different color, my color, for example, like say colored and then or an Indian or a black person, things will be normal for me. Um, and me and my husband would just be sacrificed in prayer, and life's gonna be fun like that. So those are the type of things I've been thinking about, not married yet, but if it happens that I get married to a white man, then it seems all of these things will go and make him that high priest who's going to be officiating sacrifices every time when we're having sex. Well, sex is simple to other people. For us, it's like someone's dying here. So, oh goodness, I'm laughing, but yeah. It is so evil. It is a wicked story, of course, but that's what is going on. So I say sacrifice in prayer so that people we become normal. We are normal in person. The reason why I'm saying that is because as soon as I entered into my work as Queen of Famine for America, um, I sat a year 2021. 2022, I went and applied to work as a waitress at Relish in Pretoria. And I was hired. When I was hired, I could sense the atmosphere around the people who were who I was serving. It grew to a level where people were shouting stuff like, "Oh, to hell with the ANC, man! The ANC shouldn't put its own people here. Um, the owner of the restaurant should choose who to hire." And the owner of that restaurant was so angry. The owner wanted to kick me out because they heard that I said on Facebook, um, Zimbabwean people. Um, I was not happy with how I was treated by Zimbabwean people, and the owner was convinced that there are many Zimbabwean ladies I'm working with, so this is infringing on the relationship that I have with them. I cannot work properly with them. And that was just an assumption that we are not working well. And because of that, um, I should be. And there was a lady who even went to her to talk to her about me. I overheard her say, how can she work with these ladies here? She wouldn't hire them if it was her restaurant. So these are the type of things that I'm talking about. Those are demons. The demons made that. They caused that dissatisfaction. They moved those people to say those things and to do those things. It wasn't normal. You don't just normally go to a restaurant or someone you don't even know, because that lady doesn't even know me, but she went to the restaurant to say what she said to the owner of the restaurant. So I get kicked out by just an assumption that she made with I don't know who, people that I don't actually know. So these are the type of things I'm talking about. And I'm just saying that if at that point I'd recognized this, um, things would not be so, I guess, so threatening to me as an individual. I feel if I feel threatened, that other people feel threatened too. just by demons ruling and controlling our spirits so that we ourselves cannot control ourselves and rule ourselves in the very things that maybe God and we as individuals want to do in our lives. So so now it is going to be a humiliation. I'm going to be there as a sacrifice to help out white people so they don't get destroyed. so, so heroic. Someone can say it to just make fun of this very thing. So I don't know what it means to sacrifice in prayer because it feels like people need to constantly be praying. But I guess it is important to sacrifice. Um, as probation's closed for priests and probation has closed for Adventists. Just Movement and Adventists have their probation closed, and from that point is where white actually, I would say, starts with people who carry a message of righteousness at this time, and then comes all the other people who are white, Caucasic by skin color, whether they believe or are atheists or whatever it is, and they lay up a sacrifice to just sacrifice me as an individual because of my skin color, so that in person we can tolerate each other, we can work, we can just live together without having our demons cause us to do things that we wouldn't otherwise do normally. Then I was going to talk about independence. There is a call for independence. As I said, this is a black affair. Um, Black people here are independent to do whatever they like in this time period, and so am I. I'm also independent. So, as I state what I am stating, this is for me, and someone else who is black could also decide to take up the same example from me and be inspired with the same example. But I have to emphasize this very, very well and say that the reason why um, I am thinking about what I'm thinking is because of how much weight I'm putting on my prophetic messages. Um, I'm not just coming as an individual and saying that, sacrifice me now, otherwise they would kill me. And them killing me is something that I feel every day. Right now, I feel it because I know that I haven't been sacrificed yet to that extent. Um, I could be killed by just listening to a radio station with full of white people. A radio station. Imagine being killed by just listening to a radio station. It is not normal. The spirits, they rise up and they really, really push in that destruction and death in my body, which is not right and it is not normal. So these are the type of things I'm talking about. When I am sacrificed in the spirit, my body is cleansed and purified, and all of these dirty things kind of go away rather than being sacrificed in person. But they take me in my literal body and they go and they kill me in person and eat me up, cannibals. And that is not what I'm talking about. So when they eat to eat what I have pushed out, as I make it a point to share these things publicly so that they can access and eat up what I'm saying, to sacrifice it. And then that way I know that I am free in my spirit, also in person, to not only just live a normal life, but also have normal marriage, normal life, get a job. All of these things are normal people do. Get what I mean? yeah, so that is what I want to talk about. Black people, of course, I have felt in the spirit this work that is going around of like how other black people want to get married to white people and all of these things. Like I don't have anything to do with that. Um, that's them choosing their own, making their own decisions independently. Um, but you must remember that as an individual, I'm independent. I'm an independent black person. In my work, I'm an independent person. So if there is another black person who wants to get married to white people too, the group or the individual of white people who go and get married to the black person to be part of this black affair um, in this work that's going on right now is independently doing that with that black person, and I have nothing to do with that. So, if for example that black person as a witch, for example, and they have their own rules and ways that they do things and interests and so on, I don't set any limitation, I don't set any rules, any laws to state what other black people should be doing in their own independent places with their white men. And those white men will be doing whatever that they are doing there. And as I said, they can decide to take my example as inspiration and say those black men should pray to sacrifice those dark things that those black people are doing so that they're not affected by them in person and they don't like that's their own decision. What I'm trying to say is that I don't have anything to do with that. And I'm not here to set laws on how they do it. I'm here to set boundaries and limitations and suggest what should happen with what where I am as an independent person. So that's what I wanted to talk about. As I know that as Queen of Fairmont for America, it seems I'm here to set laws, and no, I'm not. I am, in fact, here to set up studies that do suggest specific things in specific times in the work that is going on. So I might end up becoming an influence um, to in the policies or laws that are set up at a specific time, but I don't myself set laws. The reason why I don't set laws myself is because I am not 69, I'm 48. So 69 is King Charles. He has a band of soldiers. He is he can be a lawmaker as a king. I'm not a lawmaker as queen. I have to get even I guess approval at times from even just the Middle East when they see what I post, even just on social media. Those are the 69s. Prince Faisal, the NBS, they're the Prince of Saudi Arabia, King Charles, they're 69s. I'm not a 69, I'm 48, and I'm Queen of Famine. Um, I'm not king, and yeah, I'm not king and I'm not a queen to rule a band or a group of military. So I don't go to war. That's another thing. I don't go to war. I talk about wars, but I don't go to war myself. The influence that has to do with wars is coming from King Charles and King Frederick that no one's gonna take away from me. Those are the people that got set to be gods and guardians, and also to oppose me in my work, to protect me from what the world and Adventism might bring at a specific time. So, those are the type of things that I wanted to share, and I wanted to set it up. I have been going through a lot to think and just to process everything. I've been sleeping a lot. I've been feeling very sleepy. But I know that in these sacrifices of this day, I call this day the day of the Lord. The reason why I call it the day of the Lord is because I started this work of um, keeping up with this day. Some people are bound off by going to church on Saturday, and some people are bound off by going to church on Sunday. I honor the day that begins at sunset Friday to sunset Sunday. So this entire day, it's 2 days, but to me, it has become one day, and I'm bound off in that holiday. To me, it becomes like a type of a holiday. Um, in that holiday, the holiday of the Day of the Lord is where I find a lot of inspiration for my study on the 666. If you can remember, 666 is the times of the day, the evening, the morning, and I think it was even or a sunset. I'm not sure, but sunset comes into issue. And I did say that I believe in even and not sunset, as I do think sunset is a time of the day, but it's not even itself. So these are the type of things that I am talking about when I am just saying that white people, they crucify me within those points. There are white people crucify me because they go to church on Saturday and they see me going through this day of the Lord to be bound off in this holiday, almost like a weekend, but to me, it is showing the midnight cry that we're in since 2025 to the Sunday law, which I think we're going to be in by the 2040s. So, this day is an entire day to me. And yeah, that's all I wanted to share now. And then I wanted to reveal what I've worked on. Yesterday, I worked on the first block of June for the bubonic plague campaign. If you can remember, I'm working on a bubonic plague blanket in response to the bubonic plague campaign that I am doing. So, this campaign is to raise awareness on the bubonic plague and to promote good health. And in response to it, I am making a blanket that's running this entire year. Um, and in this blanket, I want to show you this. I just shown it, but I didn't explain. So this is the artwork for June. It is a mangled foot with sores, and here at the top it is like almost like something you hold to crush herbs in a bowl or something. So then my attempt into crocheting this art piece, I couldn't see the crushes at the top. It just ended up being blobs of wool, and the foot itself, I can see the soles, but the foot didn't come out very well. But generally, artistically speaking, I think the work itself it's very abstract, and it is pretty generally. So that's what I worked on. And thank you so much for joining my live. I will see you in the next live, and that will be hopefully in the coming days, so tomorrow, as I'm trying to finish up the bundles that I bought and run to explain all of these things that I share on my social media account. Until then, see you guys in the next live. Goodbye.